What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the stream here. I gave you guys a little bit of a roster preview last night, and I'm feeling a little bit generous and kind of excited at the progress that's been going on right now. So I thought I'd give you a little bit more detail. Again, not going to show the whole roster. You guys are mostly going to get just the first, few players of every roster here per team, but I really just want to highlight the top hitter and pitcher for every single team. So we're going to start with the Baltimore Orioles. Cedric Mullins really had a big year last year. So pretty exciting for them. Young, 27 years old. Just get some look at some of the attributes there. And then John Means, the steady workhorse for the Baltimore Orioles. Not great K numbers, but you see he literally limits those walks, really helps him keep that ERA pretty low. So working over to the Red Sox, actually going to give you a preview of Nathan Eovaldi instead of Chris Sale, since Chris Sale is currently injured and on the IL. Nathan Eovaldi, again, a guy who limits walks pretty well. Pretty solid last couple years for the Boston Red Sox. So he's sitting there at that 85 overall B potential. And then Trevor Story, the big-time signing for the Boston Red Sox this offseason. So moving over to second base, you get a look at some of the performance statistics there as well as his attributes. To be honest with you, the best player on the team's probably Rafael Devers, but the way that overalls are highly calculated for second baseman in this game is why Trevor Story is actually on top. All right, looking at the Yankees, we have Garrett. I don't like pitching 5 minutes later than I'm supposed to start the game. Cole, he is a 99 overall. I mean, this guy is completely filthy. You look at some of those performances, a little bit down by his standards last year with that 3.23 ERA, but across the board, this guy is phenomenal as a pitcher, and hence why he is at that 99 overall. Top hitter for the New York Yankees, that's going to be Aaron Judge, sitting at that 92 overall A potential, going into his final year of arbitration. Really, all around great hitter and a great defender. So Aaron Judge, 92 overall. Tampa Bay Rays, top pitcher is actually Taylor Glasnow, but again, he is actually injured, so we are going to go down to Andrew Kittredge. Really good reliever. A relief pitcher out of the bullpen, just edging out Nick Anderson, who's also currently injured. So he's sitting there at 83 overall. Get a peek at his statistics there. Top hitter on the team is Randy Arozarena. No surprise. The rookie phenom exploded on the scene during the 2020 season. You see those numbers. Really good contact and power numbers against lefties, solid defender, so all around a really strong player there. No surprise for the Toronto Blue Jays that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is the top player at 92 overall. I believe I have him at either 97 or 98 potential. Truly a generational talent. You see he hit 48 home runs last year. That slugging is insane, over 1,000 OPS, so really great player there. Top pitcher is the newly acquired Kevin Gausman, sitting there at 88 overall. Get a look at his makeup there. Really redefined who he was as a pitcher, pitching for San Francisco. No surprise, Giants do a great job of really getting those pitchers later in their career and kind of rejuvenating them. So a couple guys that we'll get to in a little bit who might be on that similar path as well. Top pitcher is Australian Liam Hendriks for the Chicago White Sox. Just pure filth out of the bullpen. You see how high every single one of those hits, Ks, and base on balls per nines is, and a really good job of really locking it down for Oakland the last 2 years, and then 2 years prior to joining the Chicago White Sox. Top hitter, Jose Abreu, your 2020 AL MVP. Didn't quite replicate those numbers in 2021, but this guy is a phenomenal hitter, no doubt. Defensive numbers, not great, but he's a first baseman, so don't need to worry too much about that. Yasmani Grandal, I will actually show you guys as well, because he's tied with Jose Abreu. This guy all around, just great package. I mean, he's got, pause, I just said great package. Yeah, okay, not what I meant to say. Yasmani Grandal, great hitter. He's the total package. That's what I was trying to say. Really strong hitter. His averages aren't outstanding, but he hits for great power. And then the walks, I mean, Jesus Christ. The game, he actually breaks the game. I cannot replicate a 23% walk rate in this game. I don't think That's insane. I mean, that's every 4 plate appearances, he's basically taking a walk. I mean, that's absolute insanity. And then he's a great receiver on the defensive end. Not great with the arm, but overall, a great receiver. And then Yoan Moncada is currently injured right now, so not going to show you him. Cleveland Guardians, now Jose Ramirez, J-Ram at 96 overall A potential. No surprises here. Really across the board, just a phenomenal talent. Really kind of hope Cleveland hangs on to him. That'd be nice for the league long term for J-Ram to hang on to him. Shane Bieber, this is your top pitcher, one of the top pitchers in the league, 95 overall A potential. I think he's 96. I have to go back and look for potential. So not much growth left for him, but at 26 years old, this guy is just, I mean, look at those numbers, just phenomenal. 98 stamina. I mean, this guy is a workhorse. Dealt with some injuries last year, so that's actually going to pull his durability down a little bit. 85 is still pretty high for this roster, but I mean, he's been a workhorse the previous couple of years, so that's why he is so high there. Moving on to the Detroit Tigers, the newly acquired Javier Baez. Does break my heart a little bit as a Cubs fan to see him playing elsewhere, but kind of excited to see him on the Tigers. Everybody knows about Javi, flashy, phenomenal athlete. Just, I mean, boom or bust at the plate, doesn't take walks, strikes out a bunch, but when he makes contact, it can be loud. And then, of course, a phenomenal defender. You see those defensive stats over there. Top pitcher is the newly acquired Eduardo Rodriguez. So the Detroit Tigers are building something special in the long term there, I think. Not a great year last year. He missed 2020 with COVID problems, and he had some trouble last year as well. But it seems like he's over that, and he's ready to get back on his ace-type stuff. Looking at the Kansas City Royals, Zach Greinke is back in KC after a long layoff. Last played for them in 2010. Still pretty strong pitcher, 87 overall. And then you see some of the makeups there. Really, hits, Ks, and home runs per 9 aren't great, but those limiting those walks is really where he makes his money. And then Salvi Perez is your top hitter. Really a phenomenal offensive catcher. Defensive numbers, not great, but really kind of that offensive first approach for him, as you can see some of those past performances. Minnesota Twins, Byron Buxton, who just got hurt again. This guy is truly, arguably a top 10 talent in this league if he could just stay healthy, and that is reflected in his durability being down at a 50. Last year, he was insane, but he was limited to 61 games. You look at that, 647 slugging, 358 on-base percentage. I mean, phenomenal defender, definitely gold glove caliber defense, and just really picked it up with his bat. I know early in his career, he struggled with strikeouts. Let's look at his first 2 seasons here. Yeah, 31 to 35%, but he's been able to cut that back to about 25%. Doesn't walk a lot, but overall, this guy is one of my favorite players in the league. I just wish he would stay healthy just once. He is edging out Carlos Correa. And then Sonny Gray, the newly acquired pitcher. Couple good years in Cincinnati after a rough go of it in New York. Last year wasn't phenomenal, but overall strong makeup. 84 overall B potential. Moving on, we've got Justin Verlander, who missed a long time with injury, but he is back. This is truly one of the best pitchers of my generation. You see those numbers across the board there at the 95 overall. And then Jose Altuve, all-around strong player, good bat, doesn't hit for a ton of power, but hits for a good amount of power. Doesn't hit for a ton of contact, but hits for a good amount of contact. I mean, he used to be insane. Well, I mean, you look at those numbers back then, whether or not you believe in the garbage can theory is up to you, but the guy was consistently overhitting 300 and then not so much sense, so take that for what you will, but he is a 91 overall. We have the cover athlete, Shohei Ohtani. Man, should I show you a hitter too? Because he's technically a hitter as well, but 95 overall, those are his pitching stats there. And then you look at his ratings there. He is a insane all-around player. I'll show you Mike Trout. Surprisingly, Mike Trout is not a 99 overall in this roster. And that's mostly due to his defensive stats not being as elite as they used to be. I mean, he's getting a little bit older. He's on the wrong side of 30 now. Still a strong defender, but not as elite as he once was. So now he's 95 overall. He is still an A potential. So in your franchises, he will likely find his way back to 99 overall within a year or two. So, all right, moving on. Oh boy. So if you watched the video last night, you saw me talk a little bit of crap about the Athletics roster. This is what it looks like right now. Frankie Montas, I mean, you're seeing a 74 in this first page, which I think is, what is that? That's 10 players right there. You're already down to a 74, so not great. Frankie Montas is your top pitcher. Really good the past couple years. Came on later in his career. I know he's been in some discussions for trades back to the White Sox. Nothing's gone through yet, but he actually started his career in the White Sox system, so in case some of y'all did not know that. But you look at his makeup there, pretty good across the board. No real standout skills. Decent strikeout pitcher, but no real standout skills. Just all around pretty strong pitcher. And top hitter, since Ramon Laureano is still serving that 80-game suspension, is Sean Murphy. Contact numbers, not great. Decent power. Really makes his money as a defensive catcher. Good receiver. Decent arm strength. You see those batting numbers, not great overall, but for a catcher who plays good defense, those are decent numbers. He'll probably end up being traded along with Frankie Montas and Ramon Laureano. I mean, and Lou Trevino. I mean, they're in full sell mode. I would not be surprised to see all four of these guys traded this season. Seattle Mariners top pitcher, Robbie Ray, newly acquired. Huge strikeout numbers. Really a good second season in Toronto. Finally was able to start limiting the walks in his career. That's second season in Toronto, so hopefully he keeps that up for the Mariners. And then second best player is Adam Frazier. Not a big power guy, mostly contact, but good defensive versatility for them. The newly acquired Marcus Semien, really, truly a phenomenal couple seasons for him. 2020 wasn't great, but 2019 and 2021 were insane for him. He is at that 93 overall A potential. And then the top pitcher is, Jose Leclerc is technically still injured right now. So top pitcher is the newly acquired John Gray, all the way at a 76 overall. Now he does have 80 potential, so he will grow a little bit. The former first round pick for the Colorado Rockies hasn't had a great career. So hoping to see if he can get some good success in Texas. Looking at the Atlanta Braves, technically Acuna is still hurt, so we will look at Ozzie Albies as your top hitter for them. Overall strong second baseman, not great defensively, but the switch hitter does do a pretty good job at the plate. Your top pitcher is Max Fried. You look at his makeup there. Decent performances in his career as well. Miami Marlins, Sandy Alcantara really turned into an ace last season. Really finally was able to find that strikeout pitch working last year as he got up to almost a K per inning. Really strong makeup across the board. Not going to hurt you in any one category. Really a workhorse with that 96 potential as well. Top hitter is Avisail Garcia. Really just a little bit above average offensively, maybe average to below defensively. So more of an offensive threat here for the Marlins. Then we look at the Mets. I'm going to show you DeGrom because the guy is absolutely insane. I actually have a ratings calculator to tell me like what a person's overall is, and the game maxes out at 99. He is actually a 112 overall with these ratings. So yeah, he's insane, as everybody knows. Starting to get, Jesus Christ, I didn't realize he had a 108 ERA last year. What was his FIP? Oh my God, this guy's just insane. If he can just stay healthy, he should have a good end of his career. He's been dealing with some injuries the last couple seasons. But the healthiest active pitcher, highest rated, Max Scherzer. We all know what the big Scherzer can do. This bullpen or this starting rotation for the Mets is crazy. 99 overall, 97 overall, top two pitchers. Starling Marte, the newly acquired outfielder, really across the board, just a phenomenal player. Great bat, great defense, good athleticism as well. You see some of those past performance numbers there. Top offensive player here, Bryce Harper, 94 overall. Former number one overall pick, MVP. You guys all know what Bryce Harper is about. Top pitcher is Zach Wheeler, acquired last 2 years ago. Really been good in a Phillies uniform. His biggest problem when he was in New York was just staying healthy. He has, knock on wood, been able to stay healthy in Philadelphia. So looking at the Nationals, no surprise that it is Juan Soto. I know he's only 91 overall, but again, just like Trout, being brought down a little bit by some of those defensive metrics. His batting numbers are off the charts. I mean, this guy is up there in terms of elite level plate discipline with Yasmani Grandal. He's been over 20% each of the last 2 seasons, so truly incredible hitter. Steven Strasburg is injured, so I'm not going to show you him. Will Harris is the top pitcher who is healthy on the Nationals. You look at that breakdown as a relief pitcher, some of the past performances. He was hurt most of 2021, but previous performances really been a strong pitcher for them. Mark Stroman, the newly acquired pitcher for the Chicago Cubs, really limits those walks and home runs. His strikeout numbers are a little low for a guy who's got filthy stuff, so I've always found that pretty interesting, especially because of his peripheral numbers have always been pretty good, but he puts up good performances across the board for teams. Sat out 2020 because of COVID concerns, and then really good season last year for the Toronto Blue Jays. Top hitter is Frank the Tank Schwindel. Slow start to the season so far, but he's picked it up the last few games for the Cubs. Not much to speak of defensively, but really strong offensive performer. 242 at bats. You see what he's able to do. That OPS up to 962. So really good year for the Cubs last year. Top pitcher for the Reds, Luis Castillo, is hurt, so it is the closer Lucas Sims. Filthy strikeout numbers and really limits those hits. ERA was a little high last year, but you see the 76 strikeouts in 47 innings. So this guy's got some pretty nasty stuff. And then the NL Rookie of the Year, Jonathan India, really kind of a solid offensive bat across the board. Defensively, just average, but play second base. You don't need to worry too much about that. Corbin Burns, the top pitcher for the Milwaukee Brewers, he's rolling in at a 94 overall. I think he's 95 potential, so truly filthy with strikeout numbers. Walk numbers were insane last year, only 34 and 167 innings pitched. Took him forever to walk a guy last year, and then I think he walked the first hitter he faced this year, so life comes at you fast, I guess. And then the top hitter for the Brewers is Colton Wong at second base. Really a multi-category guy to help you out. Decent, decent on the base pass. He'll steal some bases for you. Decent hitting and power. Decent defense as well. Moving on to the Pirates, Brian Reynolds, your top player there with that A potential, 83 overall. I really hope the Pirates don't trade him because I'd like to see the Pirates kind of have one of those superstar-esque type players. Down 2020 season, but besides that, he's been great in his career. And then top pitcher is the closer, David Bednar, who was really good last year. Another guy who they might trade because they're just the Pirates. Cardinals here, we're looking at Nolan Arenado, 95 overall as your best player, one of the best players in the league for the past, 8.5 seasons or so. Strong hitter, even after leaving Coors, was able to have a really kind of a strong season, and then excellent defender as he's been known in most of his career as well. Top pitcher is Giovanni Gallegos. Really kind of exploded onto the scene last year as an elite level closer. As you see some of those numbers there, as well as his corresponding attributes. Arizona Diamondbacks, Ketel Marte, the switch hitter phenom. Kind of interesting to see what the Arizona Diamondbacks are going to do with him going forward. Not good defensively, really. You see those poor numbers, but he kills it at the dish, and that's where he does his damage. Zach Gallen, solid starting pitcher for the Arizona Diamondbacks. So he's only 26 years old. Not the greatest season last year, but the previous 2 years were really strong. See across the board, pretty solid. Base on balls per 9 and home runs per 9 could be improved a little bit. Top player for the Rockies is Chris Bryant, former Cub as well. 86 overall with, I believe, 92 potential. Former NL MVP back in 2016. Always been good with the bat. Defensive numbers are okay. I mean, he's got good defensive versatility, which I think is something that kind of ups his value as well. See some of the numbers from previous years there. Top pitcher, German Marquez. all around a workhorse. Solid pitcher, not outstanding, but a solid pitcher for the Rockies. I mean, you can only do so much when you're pitching in cores for half of your games. On to the Dodgers, Walker Buehler. He's got a 94 overall A potential there. Really good at limiting hits and walks, decent strikeout numbers, and home runs per 9. Struggled early last year, but really came on in the second half of the season and dominated. Top hitter, the newly acquired Freddie Freeman. You look at their, solid, strong first baseman in terms of defensive numbers, and then one of the better hitters in the league. You see what he did in his MVP season back in 2020. 341 average, 640 slugging. I mean, that's just insane. All right. Fernando Tatis is injured right now, so the top hitter for the Padres is Manny Machado. Really just an elite third baseman, good offensive numbers, really strong against lefties specifically, and, a solid all-around defender defensively. See some of those past performances there. And then Yu Darvish, who was acquired from the Cubs. Not a great season last year, but he did have a great 2020 for the Cubs and a great second half of 2019 after the struggling first season for the Cubs. Then the last team we got, Carlos Rodon, who was just elite level pitcher last year for the Chicago White Sox. Actually won me a fantasy championship in baseball, so I was pretty happy about that. Finally was able to stay mostly healthy. Still had some injury issues as reflected in his durability down at a 56, but across the board, this guy is true ace material if he can stay healthy. I'm kind of excited to see what the Giants can do with him. He's only 29 years old, so that should be pretty fun to watch. And the top hitter is actually Evan Longoria is currently injured, so the top hitter is only a 79 overall, Brandon Crawford, who had an outstanding season. Another guy who won me a fantasy championship last year. So you look at 522 slugging, just south of 300 as a batting average there. So this guy probably could be a little bit higher, but again, I use 3-year averages for my calculations. So one season being outstanding doesn't pull you up into insane levels, but he is a very strong shortstop, and then of course excellent defensively. So all right, I appreciate y'all tuning in, and I'm going to get back to work on some stuff for this project, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your Easter Sunday for those who celebrate, and I will see you soon, I guess.